Hello. We are about to start our function. May I request all the dignitaries to be seated.
Coming after.
Yeah, after the two videos.
What must we renew? And what must we now dare to do better? We come here with the confidence of recent milestones and with the humility to remember that every milestone is also a responsibility. This conference, organized by the Kerala State Planning Board here in Thiruvananthapuram from 15th to 17th of February, is a culmination of a statewide conversation. Departmental seminars held across Kerala to hear the people's vision, distilled into key themes, one substantive session each. Each session will review Kerala's experience, weigh national and international best practices, and sketch a practical vision for 2031. In other words, this is government by discussion, not as a slogan, but as a method. Because in a democracy, the most powerful infrastructure is not concrete. It is public reasoning that finally reaches every household. And look at the breadth of voices that we have assembled: labor and livelihoods, energy and environment, health and nutrition, technology and governance, culture and tourism, scholars and administrators, practitioners and activists, global experts and local doers. In Kerala, we like our conversations like a geography, many currents meeting in one place. We gather for Vision 2031, democracy and development, at a time when the world is anxious about both the words. Development is being questioned. Development for whom? At what cost? With what dignity? Democracy is being tested. Who is heard? Who is protected? And who is left behind? So I'm glad we are not meeting merely to celebrate progress, but to interrogate it politely, rigorously, and with the courage to revise our assumptions. Kerala's own story is a good reason for such a conference. We are often described with easy phrases: high literacy, excellent health, very strong local governments. But the deeper story is this: we have tried, decade after decade, to convert public compassion into public systems to make governance not only efficient but also humane. And Kerala's geography keeps us honest. We're that slender strip where the mountains hug the coast. A blessing and not so much a blessing. A blessing because our beaches and hills are close enough to be neighbors. Not so much a blessing because the same closeness creates real cost disabilities in land, infrastructure, mobility, and resilience. So when we speak of development here, we always speak with two maps open: the map of aspiration and the map of constraints. Climate and disasters make the second map very urgent. Along our coast, erosion is not an abstract statistic. It is a shoreline moving under people's feet. Our monsoons are beautiful, but they also bring landslides and floods. The Arabian Sea is no longer as predictable as it once was. So resilience is not a separate chapter for us. It is written into the binding of the whole book. And then there is this great demographic paradox: success that has become a new responsibility. We are aging faster, our health systems must carry more long-term care, and the cost of simply maintaining the dignity rises. We are also a state shaped by migration in both directions. Kerala's people are present across the world, and Kerala also hosts workers from other Indian states, whom we consciously call guest workers, because the word signals an ethical choice, not a statistic. If development is a moral project, language matters. May I now begin my duty of welcoming all of you. A very special welcome to our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan. Over the past decade, Kerala has learned a difficult discipline under his leadership: to turn intent into institutions and institutions into outcomes that touch ordinary lives. In times when public life often rewards noise, his emphasis has been on delivery: steady, strategic, and fully focused on outcomes. Sir, we are honored by your presence and we welcome you warmly to Vision 2031. This function would be presided over by the Honorable Minister for Food, Mr. G.R. Anil. On behalf of all of us here, sir, we extend a very warm welcome to you. Next, I would welcome the Minister for Cooperation, Mr. Vasavan. The Minister for Higher Education, Ms. Bindu. The Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Prasad. the Minister for Forests, Mr. Shashindran, the Vice Chairman of the Kerala State Planning Board, Mr. V.K. Ramachandran. And in the same spirit, we are honored to welcome our very special guest, Professor Amartya Sen. Kerala has long been discussed in the same breath as your work. In Kerala, we have never needed persuasion to debate. Only a chair and a cup of tea, and sometimes a tea shop that comes with footnotes. You gave our instinct a Nobel-grade grammar, capabilities, public reasoning, and justice that can be measured in real lives. We are very honored that a mind that has taught the world to think more humanely about development is with us today to sharpen our questions for 2031 and beyond. Professor Romila Thapar. In an age of loud certainties, historians perform a quiet public service. They protect complexity from propaganda. We administrators sometimes think as though history begins with a government order. You have spent a lifetime reminding us it begins much earlier and is far more interesting. Kerala's own landscape teaches that lesson. Our stories, like our laterite earth, comes in layers, best understood patiently, not scraped into slogans. Your scholarship reminds us that democracy is sustained not by slogans, but by memory, evidence, and the courage to keep questioning what we think we know. Dr. Shakuntala Thilsted, World Food Prize Laureate. Welcome to Kerala. On a coast where livelihoods, culture, and daily meals are shaped by water, we take fish very seriously. At the table and in the economy. You have helped the world take it seriously in policy and public life as well. And in our backwaters, we know this very quietly. What nourishes today decides what can move forward tomorrow. Boats, households, and hopes alike. Your work has made one truth unmissable. Nutrition is not a side chapter of development. It is the first paragraph, and often the deciding one. We are honored to host a scientist who connects data to dignity and food systems to justice, so that progress reaches not just markets, but mothers and children, households, and horizons. His Excellency Abdullah M. Abu Shavesh, Ambassador of the State of Palestine to India. Welcome to Kerala. In a conference about development and democracy, your presence is a reminder that these are not abstract nouns. They are lived realities measured in safety, schooling, hospitals, and homes that can plan for tomorrow. Kerala is a small state with a large habit of empathy, and our people have always felt that public reasoning is empty unless it protects human dignity. We are honored that you're with us. Her Excellency, Ms. Amy Alejandra Diaz-Negrin, member of the Provincial Government of Havana. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. You join us from Havana, a city of public spirit and cultural confidence, where governance must hold together neighborhoods, services, livelihoods, and dignity. Your presence widens this hall beyond borders and reminds us that development is not a private achievement. It is a public arrangement shaped by choices societies make together. We are grateful to have you here from Cuba. Mr. Shankar Aiyar, former Union Minister of Panchayati Raj, is also with us today. Warmest welcome to you, sir. As we come to the close of this welcome, let me ask for just 3 things from the next 3 days. First, tell us the truth, especially if it's inconvenient. Second, bring ideas that can be implemented, not just admired. And thirdly, don't end this with a group photograph. Let the conversation continue, because democracy is not an event, it is a habit. And now, a simple way to judge whether we have used these days well. Professor Sen reminded the world that development is not merely what a state builds, but what people are genuinely able to do and be. So when we leave this hall, let us carry one test in our pockets. Did our arguments widen freedoms? Did our proposals expand real choices? And did our plans raise the floor of dignity for ordinary lives? If the answer is yes, not in papers, but in households, then this conference would have done real work. Welcome once again to Kerala. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request the Honorable Minister for Food and Civil Supplies, Sri G.R. Anil, to deliver the presidential address. Sir.
ഈ സമ്മേളനം ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്യുന്ന ബഹുമാന്യനായ മുഖ്യമന്ത്രി ശ്രീ പിണറായി വിജയൻ, വേദിയിലുള്ള മുൻ കേന്ദ്രമന്ത്രി ശ്രീ മണിശങ്കർ ഉൾപ്പെടെ വേദിയിലും സദസ്സിലുമുള്ള ബഹുമാന്യരെ, സ്നേഹിതരെ, 2031 കേരളം എങ്ങനെ ആയിരിക്കണമെന്ന് ഭാവന ചെയ്യുകയും അത് നടപ്പാക്കാനുമുള്ള പ്രായോഗിക കർമ്മപരിപാടികൾ ആവിഷ്കരിക്കുകയുമാണ് സർക്കാർ. അതിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായാണ് വികസനത്തെയും ജനാധിപത്യത്തെയും സംബന്ധിച്ച ഈ അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര സമ്മേളനം. ലോകത്തിൻ്റെ നാനാഭാഗങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നുമുള്ള ജനപ്രതിനിധികൾ, നയരൂപകർത്താക്കൾ, ആക്ടിവിസ്റ്റുകൾ, ഉന്നത ദൈക്ഷണിക വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങൾ എല്ലാം ഈ 3 ദിവസങ്ങളിലായി നടക്കുന്ന പരിപാടിയിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുകയാണ്. കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ ഇന്നലകളെ വിലയിരുത്തുകയും പഠിക്കുകയും ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് നേട്ടങ്ങളിൽ കാലൂന്നി നിന്നുകൊണ്ട് ഭാവിയിലേക്ക് മുന്നേറാനുള്ള പാത വെട്ടിത്തുറക്കുകയാണ് നാം. 1956 കേരള സംസ്ഥാനം രൂപീകൃതമാകുമ്പോൾ ദാരിദ്ര്യവും അസമത്വവും നിറഞ്ഞ ഒരു പ്രദേശമായിരുന്നു നമ്മുടെ നാട്. 70 വർഷങ്ങൾ പിന്നിടുമ്പോൾ വികസിത കേരളത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് അഭിമാനത്തോടെ സംസാരിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുകയാണ്. കുറഞ്ഞ പ്രതിശീർഷ വരുമാനം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നിട്ടും ഉയർന്ന സാമൂഹ്യ സൂചകങ്ങൾ കൈവരിക്കാൻ നമുക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞു. മണ്ണില്ലാതിരുന്ന സാധാരണക്കാരന് ഭൂമിയിൽ അവകാശം നൽകിയ ഭൂപരിഷ്കരണവും വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ ആരോഗ്യ മേഖലകളിലെ വിപ്ലവകരമായ ഇടപെടലുകളും സാർവത്രിക റേഷനിംഗ് സംവിധാനവും സമ്പൂർണ്ണ സാക്ഷരതയും ജനകീയ ആസൂത്രണവും നവകേരള മിഷനുകളും എല്ലാം കേരളത്തെ ഉന്നതങ്ങളിലെത്തിക്കാൻ സഹായിച്ചു. കേവലം ഭരണപരമായ ഇടപെടൽ മാത്രമല്ല, മറിച്ച് മതനിരപേക്ഷതയിലും സമഭാവനയിലും ജനാധിപത്യത്തിലും അധിഷ്ഠിതമായ ഒരു സാമൂഹിക മുന്നേറ്റം കൂടിയാണ് കേരളത്തിലുണ്ടായത്. കഴിഞ്ഞ 10 വർഷക്കാലമായി കേരളം സാക്ഷ്യം വഹിക്കുന്നത് വലിയ മാറ്റങ്ങൾക്കാണ്. സംസ്ഥാന സർക്കാരിൻ്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ വികസനത്തിൻ്റെയും സാമൂഹിക സുരക്ഷയുടെ ഉൾപ്പെടെ എല്ലാ രംഗത്തും ലോകശ്രദ്ധ ആകർഷിക്കുന്ന ഒരു മാതൃക നാം സൃഷ്ടിച്ചു. ജനങ്ങളുടെ ജീവിതഭാരം ലഘൂകരിക്കുന്നതിനാണ് കഴിഞ്ഞ 10 വർഷം മുൻഗണന നൽകിയത്. ഈ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദശാബ്ദ കാലയളവിൽ ആരോഗ്യ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ മേഖലയിൽ അഭൂതപൂർവമായ നേട്ടമാണ് കേരളം കൈവരിച്ചത്. കേരളം കൈവരിച്ച ഏറ്റവും വലിയ നേട്ടമാണ് അതിദാരിദ്ര്യമുക്ത സംസ്ഥാനമെന്ന പദവി. അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര തലത്തിലുള്ള വിദഗ്ധർക്കും അക്കാദമിക പണ്ഡിതർക്കും നയരൂപീകരണ വിദഗ്ധർക്കും കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ വികസന ദൗത്യങ്ങളെയും നേട്ടങ്ങളെയും വസ്തുനിഷ്ഠമായി വിലയിരുത്തുന്നതിനും ഭാവി വീക്ഷണവും പരിപാടികളും സംബന്ധിച്ചുള്ള അവരുടെ അഭിപ്രായങ്ങൾ പറയുന്നതിനുമുള്ള ഒരു വേദിയായിരിക്കും ഈ അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര സെമിനാർ. ഈ സെമിനാറിന് എല്ലാ വിജയാശംസകളും അർപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഞാനെൻ്റെ അധ്യക്ഷ പ്രസംഗം ചുരുക്കുകയാണ്.
Thank you, sir. May I invite the Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, to inaugurate the conference and address the gathering. Sir.
വേദിയിലും സദസ്സിലുമുള്ള വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തികളെ, സഹോദരി സഹോദരന്മാരെ, വിഷൻ 2031 അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര കോൺഫറൻസിൻ്റെ ഉദ്ഘാടനമാണ് ഇന്നിവിടെ നടക്കുന്നത്. കേരള സംസ്ഥാനം രൂപപ്പെട്ട് 7 പതിറ്റാണ്ടോളം പിന്നിട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. 2031 ആകുമ്പോഴേക്കും നമ്മൾ ഐക്യകേരളം രൂപപ്പെട്ടതിൻ്റെ 75-ാം വർഷത്തിലേക്ക് എത്തിച്ചേരും. 2031 കേരളം എങ്ങനെയായിരിക്കണം എന്നതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ആശയങ്ങൾ ശേഖരിക്കുന്നതിനായി വിഷൻ 2031 എന്ന പേരിൽ സംസ്ഥാനതല സെമിനാറുകൾ സംഘടിപ്പിച്ചിരുന്നു. അതിൻ്റെ തുടർച്ചയായാണ് ഈ പരിപാടിയും സംഘടിപ്പിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. കേരള സംസ്ഥാനം രൂപീകരിക്കപ്പെട്ട ശേഷം 75 വർഷങ്ങളാകുന്നു 2031 എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അത് കേവലമായ ഒരു വാർഷികാഘോഷം മാത്രമല്ല, ഉജ്ജ്വലമായ ഒരു ചരിത്രത്തിൻ്റെ ഓർമ്മപ്പെടുത്തൽ കൂടിയാണ്. 1956 ഭാഷാ സംസ്ഥാന രൂപീകരണത്തിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായി ഐക്യ കേരളം രൂപം കൊണ്ടത്. ജാതി ജന്മി നാടുവാഴി വ്യവസ്ഥയുടെ പിടിയിൽ ദുരിതപൂർണമായ ജീവിതം നയിച്ചവരായിരുന്നു അന്ന് മഹാഭൂരിപക്ഷം കേരളീയരും. രാജ്യത്തെ അങ്ങനെയൊരു നാടിനെ, രാജ്യത്തെ തന്നെ ഉയർന്ന ജീവിത നിലവാരമുള്ള, മതനിരപേക്ഷതയുള്ള, വിദ്യാസമ്പന്നതയുള്ള ജനതയുടെ നാടാക്കി മാറ്റിയെടുത്തതിൻ്റെ ആ മുന്നേറ്റമാണ് കേരള മോഡൽ എന്ന പേരിൽ അറിയപ്പെട്ടത്. അതാകട്ടെ ഇന്നും ലോകത്തിൻ്റെ പഠന വിഷയമാണ്. കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ മാതൃക പക്ഷേ അവിടെ അവസാനിക്കുന്നില്ല. പുതിയ കാലത്തിൻ്റെ, പുതിയ ലോകത്തിൻ്റെ ആവശ്യങ്ങൾക്കനുസൃതമായ വിധത്തിൽ നാം നമ്മളെ തന്നെ നവീകരിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പുതിയ പുതിയ മാതൃകകൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കുകയാണ്. ആ ശൃംഖലയിലെ അടുത്ത കണ്ണിയാണ് നവകേരള നിർമ്മിതി. ഇതുവരെ ഉണ്ടായ ഇടതുപക്ഷ ഭരണങ്ങളുടെ തുടർച്ചയായിരിക്കെ തന്നെ പുതിയൊരു കുതിച്ചുചാട്ടത്തെ കുറിക്കുന്നത് കൂടിയാണ് നവകേരള നിർമ്മിതി എന്ന അടുത്ത ഘട്ടം. അതിനുതകും വിധമുള്ള പദ്ധതികൾ തയ്യാറാക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു യോഗം ചേരുന്നത്. അതിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായാണ് അക്കാദമിക് വിദഗ്ധരെയും പ്രതിഭകളെയും സാങ്കേതിക വിദഗ്ധരെയും ജനപ്രതിനിധികളെയും ഇവിടെ ക്ഷണിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇവിടെ എത്തിച്ചേർന്ന ഓരോരുത്തരെയും കേരള ജനതയുടെ ആകെ പേരിലുള്ള നന്ദി അറിയിക്കട്ടെ. ഇവിടെ കൂടിയിരിക്കുന്നവരിൽ സംസ്ഥാനത്തിന് പുറത്തു നിന്നുള്ളവരുണ്ട്. അവർക്ക് പലർക്കും ഇതേവരെ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും മനസ്സിലാകാനിടയില്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് ഇനി അവർക്ക് മനസ്സിലാകുന്ന ഭാഷയിൽ സംസാരിക്കുന്നതാണ് നല്ലത് എന്ന് കരുതുന്നു. It is a pleasure to welcome this audience of scholars, public representatives, administrators, and other experts from different walks of life to the Vision 2031 conference. We are honored to welcome 3 distinguished guests whose presence elevates this seminar. Nobel laureate Sri Amartya Sen, eminent historian Mrs. Romila Thapar, and World Food Prize winner Dr. Shakuntala Thilsted. Their remarkable contributions across economics, history, and sustainable food systems will undoubtedly enrich our discussions. In addition, more than 120 international experts are contributing to this gathering, making it a truly collaborative and forward-looking initiative. Together, this seminar marks a significant step in shaping Kerala's developmental landscape. In 2031, Kerala will complete 75 years as a state. That moment demands reflection and imagination. 75 years is a long period, enough to assess where we began, what we have achieved, and what remains to be done. Vision 2031 is not only a review exercise, it is an effort to chart the next phase of Kerala's development journey. Kerala's development story has always been shaped by public interventions. Professor Amartya Sen, who is with us today, has written extensively about it. From the early years of land reform and social reform to the expansion of education and health services, Kerala's progress was the outcome of many actions from above and below. Over the last 7 decades, governments, social movements, and communities worked together to expand the freedoms of the people living here. The results are visible. Literacy and school education are universal. Kerala ranks first in the Sustainable Development Goals Index. Multidimensional poverty is the lowest in India. And on November 1st, 2025, Kerala became the first state to declare the eradication of extreme poverty. That historic achievement was the product of careful surveys, local planning, and strong welfare systems that reached even the most vulnerable households. These accomplishments from the foundation of Vision 2031. The central idea is clear. The human development gains of Kerala are not the end of a path. They are the starting point for a new stage of economic and social progress. Kerala today has a well-educated population, a strong public health system, high levels of social awareness, remarkable social harmony, and active local governments. These are not only social achievements, they are economic strengths. The next step in our journey involves using these strengths to build a productive, modern economy that generates quality employment and broad prosperity. Industrial development offers one example of this shift. Before 2016, industrialization was not at the center of policy discussions. Kerala was often described as a difficult destination for investment. Over time, that perception began to influence reality. The government responded by placing industry back at the core of economic strategy. Procedures were simplified, support systems were improved, and a clear message was communicated that productive investment is welcome in Kerala. The change is now visible. Micro, small, and medium enterprises have expanded across districts. Industrial investment has grown steadily. New proposals have come forward in manufacturing, processing, green industries, and logistics. This is not an attempt to copy the industrial models of other regions. Kerala's path is different. It draws on a skilled workforce, respects labor rights, and places environmental responsibility at the center. Industrial growth here is shaped by local conditions and long-term sustainability. Information technology presents another important example of transformation. At one time, there was a common belief that Kerala had missed its opportunity in IT. That belief has been proven wrong by reality. Technology parks have expanded. Employment in IT and IT-enabled services has grown rapidly. Startups have found support through public institutions and innovation ecosystems. Kerala's IT growth rests on its strong education system and its ability to produce skilled graduates. The future lies in moving further into advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence, data science, and digital services, while ensuring that technology serves society rather than deepening inequality. The primary sector also remains central to Kerala's economy. Agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry face serious challenges, including low productivity, climate change, rising costs, and market uncertainty. Progress in the coming decade depends on improving productivity, strengthening value addition, and connecting producers to better markets. Modern storage facilities, processing units, and branding initiatives can help ensure that farmers and fishers receive stable incomes. Infrastructure development forms another key part of Vision 2031. Kerala's dense settlement pattern and ecological sensitivity require careful planning. Integrated transport systems, efficient public transport, digital connectivity, and modern spatial planning can improve both economic efficiency and quality of life. Infrastructure is not only about physical construction, it is about connecting people, ideas, and opportunities. Environmental sustainability cannot be separated from development. Kerala has experienced floods, landslides, and other climate related challenges in recent years. These events have reminded us that growth must be resilient. We must focus more on adaptation than mitigation. Renewable energy, scientific water management, flood control, and protection of biodiversity are all part of economic planning. A strong economy is one that protects its natural resources while improving livelihoods. The next stage of Kerala's development also involves deepening the foundations that brought Kerala this far. School education has been transformed through large scale infrastructure improvement and renewed public confidence. The task ahead involves improving quality further, integrating digital tools, and strengthening scientific and critical thinking. Higher education can play a larger role in research and innovation. Kerala has the potential to become a hub for advanced learning, attracting students from across the country and abroad. Public health has been strengthened through missions that modernized primary and secondary care. As the population ages and new health challenges emerge, the system will continue to adapt. Preventive care, mental health services, and specialized treatment will require careful planning and sustained commitment. One of Kerala's distinctive strengths lies in its decentralized system of governance. The People's Plan movement and subsequent reform transferred real authority and resources to local governments. Panchayats and municipalities became active participants in planning and implementation. During crises such as floods and the pandemic, local governments demonstrated their capacity and commitment. The future of Kerala's development continues to depend on strong local institutions that combine democratic participation with administrative efficiency. Public policy in Kerala has long been shaped through consultation. Vision 2031 continues that tradition. Departments conducted 33 seminars across the state, inviting experts, social organizations, industry representatives, and citizens to share their views. These discussions were consolidated into thematic sessions that now form the basis of this conference. This approach reflects Kerala's belief that good policy grows out of dialogue and collective thinking. Kerala's social harmony has also been central to its development. People of different religions and communities have lived together peacefully for generations. Secularism here is not an abstract idea, it is a lived practice visible in schools, workplaces, and communities. Protecting that harmony strengthens economic progress because stability and mutual respect create confidence and trust. At the same time, challenges remain. Fiscal constraints limit the room for maneuver available to states. Borrowing restrictions and revenue centralization place pressure on public investment. Yet, Kerala continued to invest in infrastructure, education, health, and industry. Despite these constraints, innovative financing mechanisms and careful fiscal management have allowed progress to continue. As Kerala approaches its 75th year, the goal is not merely to celebrate past achievements. The goal is to prepare for the future, an economy that is productive and knowledge based, a society that is inclusive and just, a state that is resilient in the face of climate challenges, and a democracy that continues to value discussion and participation. The success of Vision 2031 will depend not only on government action, but on the collective effort of all sections of society: scholars, workers, farmers, youth, entrepreneurs, and administrators. Each have a role to play. Kerala's strength has always come from the energy and awareness of its people. The next 5 years offer an opportunity to bring together growth and justice, technology and humanity, modernization and sustainability. Kerala's history shows that such a balance is possible. This conference carries forward a long tradition of public discussion that scholars like Professor Amartya Sen have always underlined as critical. The discussion that take place here can shape policies that guide Kerala into its next phase. With confidence in our people and our institutions, Vision 2031 can help Kerala move toward a future that is prosperous, inclusive, and democratic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, let us listen to eminent economist, philosopher, and Nobel laureate Bharat Ratna, Professor Amartya Sen, who regrets his inability to attend the conference in person, but has recorded a special message to the conference.
I'm very honored to be asked to give this lecture, Kerala at 75. As I grow older, I mean even older than I already am, I ask myself whether I have been able to hold on to the ideas I strongly held as a young man. I fear not all of them. For example, I must acknowledge a weakening of my confidence in the invulnerability of secularism in India. The future of secularism will depend on whether we can resist the well-organized trusting of smallness on this country. However, there were also some early convictions of mine that have remained as strong today as they have ever been. As it happens, some of these ideas are closely related to Kerala's history in general and the emergence of an independent Kerala, in particular its astonishing economic and social achievement by empowering human capabilities through education, healthcare, and social co. Perhaps I can begin with some history. It may be surprising that Kerala would come into international comparison in a focused debate already as early as the 14th century. In fact, in faraway Africa. But it did. When Ibn Battuta, the great scholar and traveler, born in Tangier in 1304, visited a country called Iwaltan, located in between today's Ghana and Mali. He was astonished to find that women's independence was locally valued, including their positive social roles and property rights. Even Battuta strongly disapproved of women's equality and made unfavorable comparisons of what Iwaltani women were allowed and encouraged to do with what happened in other countries where forms of women's subjugation were the norm. In his denunciation, Battuta mentioned that he had seen such disgraceful elevation of women's rights, including matrilineal inheritance, only in one other country in the world during his extensive travels, and that place was Kerala in India. Much has been written about the role of women in Kerala's astonishing economic and social advancement in recent times. But what Kerala offers is not just modern experience, but the historical background to it as well. Another historical achievement was Kerala's openness to the world at large. There's a lot of propaganda these days about India's intellectual greatness coming from its separatist pursuit, its Sanatan heritage, as it were. There were indeed great intellectual achievements in ancient India, but these were typically open-minded in their creation, not discarding ideas coming from outside on grounds of provenance. The idea of give and take is well illustrated by the history of ancient Indian mathematics. Even though much is touted in exaggerated claim these days about such subjects as Vedic mathematics, Indian mathematics really took off from around 2,000 years ago, particularly through the influence of Greek and Babylonian mathematics. And then coming on it into its own, mathematical results from India had a gigantic influence on the math of the world, on Arabic mathematics, on Chinese mathematics, and European mathematics, mostly in the case of Europe through Arabic translations. The transformative figure in this extraordinary transition was Aryabhat in the 5th century, who lived mostly in Pataliputra, now called Patna, but there is considerable evidence that he came from Kerala, which had already many mathematicians and astronomers involved in work from home and abroad. Kerala had significant foreign presence from the first century onwards. Jews, Christians, Muslim traders, much earlier than conquering Muslims who came through the northwest later. Parsis, all the way to the comparatively recent arrival in the form of Baha'is. Kerala's role as a gateway to India has not only been of value to India as a whole, it has been, I would argue, of great importance in allowing Kerala to be open-minded and experimental. At the time of Kerala's formation as a state in 1956 and its first elections in 1957, I was mostly in Calcutta. I remember the thrill of those days, but also long arguments in the coffee house on College Street about whether Kerala's left politics would really be able to make its people move forward to unconservative, in unconservative and experimental ways toward human development and the enrichment of humanity with the help of education, medical care, and social cooperation. I also remember being pushed to the corner by the skeptics who explained to me that Kerala, as one of the poorest states in India, simply did not have the money for human development. Now that Kerala has climbed up to being the richest state in India, even in terms of income per head, not to mention the removal of absolute poverty, life expectancy, basic education, medical attention, and restraining fertility rate. I am ready to offer 3 cups of coffee to all the skeptics. I'm glad that my optimistic expectations need no reservation, need no revision regarding human development. Things have been as good as I hoped. But I would have been happier still if we could have added to that also the safeguarding and further advancement of secularism, which has remained strong in Kerala, but weakened in India. We have to see whether too the birthday girl, I may take the liberty of calling Kerala that way, can make a definitive contribution for India as a whole.
We express our gratitude to Professor Sen. Now, let us listen to renowned historian and Professor Emerita, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor Romila Thapar, who has recorded a special message to the conference.
It is more the conference will no doubt take forward activities associated with both development and democracy in Kerala. Kerala has made an impressive advance in areas that, for instance, I am primarily interested in, such as literacy and education. Literacy is virtually universal, and educational programs focus not just on reading and writing, but understanding the world in which we live. And this is a very important difference in the program of education. This is to be strongly commended. As in all such activities, there is always more to be done, and I have no doubt that Kerala will show the way to further development in education. I am sure that much will be discussed at the conference, and hopefully many solutions will be adapted and adopted. My very best wishes, therefore, for the success of the conference.
We express our gratitude to Professor Thapar. I request former Union Minister for Panchayati Raj, Sri Shankar Aiyar, to address the gathering.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Ministers, my dear, dear friend, Abu Sawe, His Excellency the Ambassador of Palestine, and all the other distinguished members of the podium. Mahatma Gandhi in 1931 was asked, "What is your dream for India?" And instead of saying what his dream was, Gandhiji's reply was, "I shall work for an India in which the poorest will feel it is their country, in the building of which they have an effective voice." It's ironical that the only state of India in which progress has been made in the Gandhiji's direction is the Marxist-Leninist Party of India. I don't know whether this is a compliment or an insult, but I do regret very much the absence of my party colleagues on this occasion, which is a state occasion and therefore a national occasion. Now, I've been asked to limit my words, and therefore, let me just come to the only point I can. Kerala, without a doubt, is India's leader in Panchayati Raj, in ironically achieving more than anyone else the expectations of a Congress Prime Minister who's no more with us, the late Sri Rajiv Gandhi. But while Kerala is the first state in Panchayati Raj in practice, they're only second best in the law. When I was last in this hall, I made a plea that since Karnataka has outstanding contemporary legislation as a result of the Ramesh Kumar Committee, to which I provided 38 amendments, and all 38 amendments were accepted. And since we have an almost unrecognizable V.K. Ramachandran on the stage, who is the guru of Panchayati Raj, my apologies to Thomas Isaac, but he really is. I think I was told by the Minister of Local Government on that occasion that he accepted the suggestion I had made, and I also mentioned who should be in that committee, because it so happened that all the Karnataka people were sitting here, and so were all the Kerala intellectuals. So in the presence of the Chief Minister, who I'm sure will be the next Chief Minister, I renew my plea that in order to reinforce Kerala as the best Panchayati Raj state in the country, the law should be, the state law should be amended on the basis of the experience we have on the basis of Thomas Isaac's insights, on the basis of a 5-volume report of which I was the chairman, and above all, on the note on district planning by Sri V.K. Ramachandran, which was circulated by the Planning Commission, when the Planning Commission actually believed in Panchayati Raj. I'm afraid there is no champion for Panchayati Raj left in the country. So therefore, I have to fall at your feet, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, and say, please, sir, pick up the baton that the Congress has dropped. Thank you, and may Kerala prosper.
Thank you, sir. I request the Director for Nutrition, Health and Food Security Impact Area Platform, Consultative Group on International Agriculture Research, and World Food Prize Laureate 2021, Dr. Shakuntala Thilsted, to address the gathering.
Good afternoon, all. It is truly an honor to be invited to be in Kerala again, this time for Vision 2031. Let me first begin by paying tribute to the first World Food Prize laureate, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who was awarded the World Food Prize 40 years ago, and from whom his work I have drawn a lot of inspiration when I began working on aquatic food system. I began this work in Bangladesh, and the first place I visited was Chennai and the M.S. Swaminathan Foundation to see the work that they were doing in the field. Kerala is a shining example in the sustainable development and transformation of food systems to nourish all its people and the state. We recently saw and read about these achievements at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Let me highlight a bit about Kerala as a shining example in the transformation of food systems to nourish all its people and the state. Kerala focuses on local, nutritious, as well as high economic value produce, while at the same time ensuring sustainability and climate resilience. This transformation reduces dependency on external food supplies and promotes and enhances food sovereignty. Let me give a shining example of this with respect to aquatic food systems, the area in which I work. With its long coastline, numerous backwaters and rivers, Kerala has a rich diversity of aquatic foods, very many fish species, prawns, crabs, mussels, and squid. These aquatic foods nourish Keralites, and they are well liked. They are superfoods, supplying multiple essential vitamins and minerals, as well as essential fatty acids and high-quality proteins, which are essential for growth, cognition, and development in children. At the same time, it supports a high-demand aquatic food industry. Using innovative technologies, Kerala ensures that the aquatic food supply chain is well developed and loss and waste of this high-value perishable superfood is minimized. At the same time, Kerala is developing a vibrant seaweed sector. Kerala is also showing other states of India, as well as globally, how women are pivotal for promoting sustainable food systems and improving nutrition. Promoting women collectives is a shining example in this year 2026, declared as the International Year of the Women Farmers, both on land and in water. Lastly, let me highlight the efforts of Kerala in capacity development and engagement of youth, both young women and men, in new technologies and data management for transforming food systems to be sustainable and ensuring food and nutrition security for all. There is much that other states in India, as well as countries in Africa and Asia, can learn from these shining examples that we have in Kerala to transform food systems so we can nourish all people as well as the planet. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I request the Ambassador of the State of Palestine to the Republic of India, His Excellency Mr. Abdullah M. Abu Shabish, to address the gathering.
Thank you so much. Excellency Sherry Binari Vijan, Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala, Honorable Ministers, my distinguished friend, His Excellency Mani Shankar Aiyar, distinguished guests, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, brothers and sisters, it is my great honor and the privilege to address this distinguished gathering at the International Conference Vision 2031 Development and Democracy. At the outset, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the Honorable Chief Minister Binari Vijan, the Government of Kerala, and the Kerala State Planning Board for their generous invitation and warm hospitalities. I also thank the organizer for convening this important forum, which brings together scholars, policymakers, and the global experts to reflect on the future of development and democratic governance. When I received the invitation and reviewed the theme, I was truly pleased to accept it for two reasons. First, this is Kerala, where I was when at the first ever time to come to Kerala to hug it is a chief minister and to start a very strong relation or to renew the very strong relation that was started by Yasser Arafat with Kerala again. Kerala, a place where Palestinian cause has always held a special place in people's hearts, and where we have constantly received deep sympathy, empathy, and solidarity. The second reason, the theme closely aligned with my professional background. I am an economist by profession, and I spent nearly 1 decade in the United Nations working within the United Nations in issues related to sustainable development with many of its sub-themes. Comrades, brothers and sisters, the conference is both timely and meaningful at a moment when the world faces complex economic, social, and political challenges. The pursuit of sustainable development and the strengthening of democratic institutions remain essential for the stability and prosperity of society. Kerala has long been recognized for its distinctive development experience, particularly in education, healthcare, social welfare, and the human development. The effort to articulate comprehensive development vision towards 2031 reflects forward-looking leadership and a firm commitment to inclusive growth and social justice. In economic thought, or the economic history, theory, our understanding for development has evolved significantly. Early approach rely heavily in GDP per capita as the primary measures of progress. This later expanded to include sustainable development, recognizing the limit of growth and the importance of long-term social and environment balance. Today, we are ahead. The discourse had advanced towards a more comprehensive framework known as human development, not sustainable development. This evolution reflects the fundamental shift. Development is no longer measured solely by income or outputs, but by the well-being, capability, and dignity of a human being. Education, health, quality, and social inclusion are now recognized as a central indicators of genuine progress. Kerala experience demonstrates this approach in practice. Its leadership and policy choice embrace a human-centered model long before it became widely articulated in the economic theory. By prioritizing education, public health, and social welfare, Kerala treated human development not as a byproduct of growth, but as its primary objective, showing that people-centered policy produce inclusive and lasting outcome. Development and democracy, the core theme of this conference, are deeply interconnected. Sustainable development cannot be achieved without accountable government, respect for human dignity, and meaningful public participation. Likewise, democracy is strengthened when it delivers tangible improvement in people's lives. Anyone who reviews Kerala modern history will note it is sustained effort to eradicate poverty, raise literacy, strengthen healthcare, reduce malnutrition, and maternal mortality, and significantly lower multidimensional poverty. Yes, multidimensional poverty is a new concept. Kerala was worked and succeed to eliminate, to eradicate, to remove it. Achievement that culminated in the recent declaration of the eradication of extreme poverty. These outcomes were not accidental. They result from strong political will, institutional commitment, and long-term public investment in people. Kerala journey showed that when social justice and human well-being guided policy, progress became both measurable and inclusive. As an economist and politician, I firmly believe that the development must always be human-centered. It should aim not only at economic growth, but at advancing social equality, safeguarding fundamental rights, and ensuring equal opportunities for all. This is precisely what Kerala has demonstrated, affirming that true development is measured by the dignity and well-being of its people. Comrades, brothers and sisters, the state of Palestine greatly values its long-standing relation with the Republic of India, founded in a mutual respect, solidarity, and shared commitment to justice and development. We also appreciate opportunity to strengthen engagement with India states and institutions, including the progressive and vibrant state of Kerala. We believe that cooperation in education, development planning, governance, and social policy efforts, promising avenue for deeper engagement and meaningful exchange of expertise. As we look forward towards the future, initiatives such as Vision 2031 underscore the importance of strategic planning, inclusive dialogue, and collective responsibility in building sustainable society. Their success depends on cooperation among government, institutions, and people. In conclusion, I commend the government of Kerala and the organizer of this conference for their vision and dedication. I am confident that the deliberation here will contribute meaningfully to advance development, strengthening democratic government, and promoting shared prosperity. I thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I request Member of the Provincial Government of Havana, Republic of Cuba, Ms. Aimee Alejandra Diaz Negrin, to address the gathering.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Minister, distinguished delegates, friends. First of all, the Cuban delegation here today would like to convey our deepest gratitude for the invitation to this important event on development and democracy. It is a pleasure for us to begin our working visit to India precisely by this state where Cuba is felt close and from where we have received so much solidarity. Therefore, we want to thank you, all of you here today, for your unwavering solidarity. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate you on the successful way you have developed your economy since 1957 based on an inclusive social program. Dear friends, like Kerala, Cuba has spent over 6 decades developing policies focused on its people. As you may know, when the revolution triumphed on January 1st, 1959, we inherited a bleak landscape that placed us among the poorest countries in Latin America. Just to give you an idea, I will share some figures. 53% of the Cuban population was illiterate at that time. Secondary education reached only half of the school-age population. The infant mortality rate was 42% per 1,000 live births. There were only 6,000 doctors in Havana, in the entire country, but 65% of whom were located in Havana, the capital, even though the capital's population represented only 22% of the country's total. Life expectancy at birth was 62 years, more or less. 1.5% of the farm owners control around 46% of the land, with the existence of large land holdings of more than 200,000 hectares. Therefore, among the priorities of the revolutionary government were the agrarian reform laws to eliminate large national and foreign land holdings and return the land to the peasant who work it. Also, the literacy campaign, which in just 1 year, 2 years after 1959, declared Cuba as a territory free of illiteracy. At the same time, a universal and free system of education and healthcare has been developed as a state priority, and progress has been made toward a model of government based on science and technology. The data shows that this has been the right path. I'm going to mention some examples. By the end of 2024, Cuba had more than 75,000 doctors around the country. Life expectancy is around 77 years, and the infant mortality rate at the moment for children under 1 year old was 7.1% thousand live births. Regarding the biotech sector, I'm aware that most of you knows about the progress of Cuba in this regard. Cuba produced 401 of the 651 medicine included in the basic list, as well as 8 of the 12 vaccines used in the national immunization program. As part of the country's efforts to face the coronavirus pandemic, 5 vaccines were developed in record time to immunize our population. Our small island was also a pioneer in vaccinating children aged 2 and 18 years against COVID. And my friends, unfortunately, we have done all of this facing a brutal economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed by the US government from the beginning of the revolution. This illegal and arbitrary policy, condemned by the majority of the international community for 33 consecutive times, including India, of course, pursues only the objective declared by a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Inter-American Affairs, Lester Mallory, in April 1961. And I quote the phrase to give you an idea of the policy of the US since then. The majority of Cubans, state the memorandum, support Castro. There is no effective political opposition. The only foreseeable means of alienating internal support is through disenchantment and disaffection, based on economic disaffection and hardship. If the above are accepted or cannot be successfully countered, it follows that every possible means should be undertaken promptly to weaken the economic life of Cuba and to bring about hunger, desperation, and overthrow of the government. And unfortunately, that has been the US policy towards Cuba since the beginning of the revolution. So you can imagine how difficult it is to move forward with a social program like the one that I described before, facing this brutal aggression of the US government. It is impossible to quantify the emotional damage, the suffering, the deprivations that the blockade caused on Cuban families. This has been the case for generations. More than 80% of Cubans were born after the blockade. We here today were born after the blockade. We don't know a Cuba without a blockade. And now is urgent need to divert attention from its serious internal issues and its eagerness to regain control of the Latin America region. The Trump administration has escalated this policy against Cuba to an unprecedented levels. It wasn't enough for him to impose more than 240 measures during his first term against Cuba and reinstate Cuba on the first day of his second term to the unilateral and baseless list of so-called states sponsors of terrorism. Just 70 days ago, on January 29, he signed an executive order declaring Cuba an unusual and extraordinary threat to the US, and declaring for that a national emergency with respect to that threat. This is, of course, a completely nonsense, and I'm pretty sure that you and many friends from other progressive political parties, government, solidarity movement around the world cannot believe a single word of this executive order. But the reality is that this measure has a negative and extraterritorial effect by threatening to impose tariffs on those countries that sell fuel to Cuba. Fuel, you can imagine in an economy, you need fuel for everything. So this is an economic warfare and also a mass violation of human rights of the Cuban people. In this complex context, we hope to continue counting on Kerala and all friends on the left and in progressive movement who understand that justice must prevail against imperialist arrogance and fascist ways. It's an honor for us, of course, to share the floor with the ambassador of Palestine here. And I want to take this opportunity to ratify our unwavering solidarity with our Palestinian brother and sister who, like Cuba, are facing for over decades, are facing a genocide. Our solidarity, ambassador. My friends, today in Cuba and in our region, in Latin America, we are not resolving an old dispute between two countries with different political systems. We are defending the right to live in peace, the respect for the international order and the principles of the United Nations Charter, condemning the use of force against a sovereign state and rejecting the fascist methods of the new far right. We are defending humanity and global peace. And you can be assured that we, in Cuba, the government and the Cuban people, will not surrender to adversity. We have been firm for 67 years and will continue facing this reality. As Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro, and I know that Fidel and Ernesto Che Guevara are well known here in Kerala, as Fidel stated at the 7th summit of the non-aligned movement held precisely in India in 1983, and I quote, "The current US administration has openly declared its intention to use any means necessary to punish Cuba. The imperialists are consumed by hatred and impotence in the face of a small, hard-working country with a humble and dignified way of life like Cuba. How can they kill an example? How can they destroy a moral force? Also, we want peace in the region and work for it. We will not capitulate to threats of any kind. We can state that Cuba may be exterminated, but it will never be intimidated or defeated. As we said 50 years ago, the island will see into the sea before we consent to be anyone's slave." End of the quote. Dear friends, let's keep working together for a better world that we are pretty sure that is possible. And I wish you every success in the future. Once again, many thanks for having us here today.
Thank you, Madam. I request Honorable Minister for Higher Education and Social Justice, Dr. R. Bindu, to address the gathering.
Honorable Chief Minister Shri Pinarayi Vijayan, respected colleagues in the cabinet, respected dignitaries on end of the dais, dear delegates and friends. At the very outset, I extend warm greetings to all the delegates and dignitaries who participate in this conference, which tries to trace the future paths of Kerala's development. As Kerala is emerging as a new knowledge society, ensuring social justice and equal opportunity. This government is determined to create new glorious chapters in continuation to the Kerala model of development, which placed our tiny little state at the center of global attention. Ensuring good health, secure housing, quality education, and social security to all through just full distribution of resources and decentralization of power. Kerala tries to confidently address the challenges raised by the postmodern globalized society of the 21st century. Assimilating the new trends and tendencies at the frontiers of technology in a technology-driven society is important, and we are all set to catch up with the fast pace of the artificial intelligence era. We are building state-of-the-art laboratory complexes, modernized libraries, and academic complexes with smart classroom for the youngsters, and their innovative ideas are encouraged and supported in a benevolent manner. Latest technology and new generation scientific disciplines are integrated into our scheme of understanding the world, making the vistas of the future widened. Through the process of knowledge translation, that is translating theoretical knowledge into practical application, we are committed to improve and elevate the standards of living of our people. The infrastructure development and social security measures undertaken by the state in the last 10 years are emblematic of our march ahead, and I hope this would continue to make Kerala the vanguard or flag bearer of the progress of humanity. Our model of knowledge society is different from the model proposed by the Western capitalist societies, which give more importance to profit-oriented, commercialized, and market-centered interests. The model proposed by Kerala is an alternative model of people-centered knowledge society, where knowledge is effectively utilized to raise the quality of life of our people in total. Specific measures are undertaken to ensure the empowerment and rehabilitation of the weaker or marginalized sections like the differently abled persons, the transgenders, senior citizens, women, and sections belonging to backward castes and class. I hope we would be able to present yet another glowing example through Nava Kerala, radiating light around to lead the rest of the world to an egalitarian and democratic outlook. Hand in hand, let us march towards a better world, a brave new world where dignity and equal opportunity are ensured to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I invite Honorable Minister for Forest and Wildlife, Sri A.K. Shashindran, to address the gathering.
ഈ വേദിയിൽ ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട മുഖ്യമന്ത്രി ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ള നേതാക്കളെ, സഹോദരി സഹോദരന്മാർ, കേരളം പുതുയുഗത്തിലേക്ക് കടക്കുകയാണ്. നാളത്തെ കേരളം സംബന്ധിച്ച കേരളീയരുടെ സങ്കല്പങ്ങൾ അത് മനസ്സിലാക്കി അതിൻ്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിലൊരു നയരേഖ തയ്യാറാക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഇത്തരം സെമിനാറുകൾ ഞങ്ങൾ സംഘടിപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെയാണ് ഈ സെമിനാറിന് ഡെമോക്രസി ആൻഡ് ഡെവലപ്മെൻറ്റ് എന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾ വിളിക്കാൻ കാരണം. വികസനം ഒരു ജനാധിപത്യ സമൂഹത്തിലൂടെ മാത്രമേ നടപ്പിലാക്കാനാവുകയുള്ളൂ. ജനാധിപത്യ സമൂഹത്തിൻ്റെ വളർച്ചയും വികാസവുമാണ് ജനകീയ വികസനത്തിൻ്റെ ശക്തമായ അടിത്തറ. ആ ജനകീയ വികസനമാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ ലക്ഷ്യമാക്കുന്നത്. സമഗ്രമായ വികസനം എന്നതുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് വികസനത്തിൻ്റെ നേട്ടങ്ങൾ സർവതല സ്പർശിയായിരിക്കണമെന്നാണ്. അത് എല്ലാ വിഭാഗങ്ങളിലേക്കും എത്തണം. അതിനുവേണ്ടി സ്വീകരിച്ച നിലപാടിലെ 2 ഉദാഹരണങ്ങളാണ് നല്ല നിക്ഷേപങ്ങളുള്ള വൻകിട പദ്ധതികൾ, അടിസ്ഥാന സൗകര്യ വികസനം, ഒപ്പം ഗ്രാമീണ ജനതയുടെ പുരോഗതി ലക്ഷ്യമാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടുള്ള ക്ഷേമ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളും വികസന പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളും. രണ്ടും സമാന്തരമായി പോകുമ്പോഴാണ് ഒരു നാട് പൊതുവെ വികസിച്ചു എന്ന് പറയാൻ വേണ്ടി സാധിക്കുക. ആ ലക്ഷ്യത്തിലേക്കുള്ള ഞങ്ങളുടെ പ്രയാണത്തിൽ ഇന്നിവിടെ നടന്ന ചർച്ചകൾ, നേരത്തെ നടന്ന ചർച്ചകളും ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് കൂടുതൽ ദിശാബോധത്തോടു കൂടി പ്രവർത്തിക്കാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ഒന്നായി മാറിയിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നതിൽ അതിയായ സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. ആ സന്തോഷം പ്രകടിപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങളെല്ലാവരെയും അഭിനന്ദിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾ ചുരുക്കുന്നു. നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, sir. I request Honorable Minister for Agriculture, Sri P. Prasad, to address the gathering.
Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, and other dignitaries on and off the dais, and dear participants. The Vision 2031, the International Conference on Development and Democracy, is an important step towards the future of Kerala. This shows sign of, the seminar is a sign of responsibility and commitment of the government of Kerala, and no doubt this is also the idea of our Honorable Chief Minister Sri Pinarayi Vijayan. I wish all success to this international conference and seminar. Thank you. Long live Palestine, viva Cuba.
Thank you, sir. I request the Honorable Vice Chairperson, Kerala State Planning Board, Professor V.K. Ramachandran, to address the gathering.
May I begin by welcoming all our guests, all the people who have come from different parts of India and different parts of the world to join us in this conference. It's wonderful to have you here. And may I welcome specially our friends from Cuba and Palestine. Solidarity with Palestine and with Cuba is part of the DNA of the people of Kerala. We have discussed some of these issues have been discussed by the previous speakers, but I'd like to go back to sort of talk a bit about why we believe that at this point, after 10 years of government, it is important to propose a conference such as Vision 2031, a conference of this kind. The decade from 2016 to 2026 has been a period of rapid and unprecedented economic development in the state of Kerala, I think. Indeed, I believe that no other part of India has seen a decade of such progressive advance in the 21st century. It's for those who live here, we have seen it before. We have seen things change before our eyes. These changes have been achieved despite the financial difficulties imposed on the state by the union government. Every sector, and see, one decision that the government took almost immediately after it came to office was to be a state where the process of planning continued. that we, while planning was unceremoniously dismissed from the rest of the country, Kerala, of course, had a different tradition of planning, one that went deeper and played a more important part in the society, even before the abolition of planning in India as a whole. But it was the only state to decide to continue with that process in the 13th and 14th five-year plans. Every sector of the economy, I believe, has been put on a new path of development and growth over this period. We spoke about the human development sectors, including education, school and higher education, skilling and professional education. In these, I would invite you to visit some of our schools, some of our, from the primary from our preschools to our high schools. I would invite guests who have come from different parts of India to visit them and see how the quality, how infrastructure has actually changed in these schools. It was no wonder that Kerala became, during the period of the 13th five-year plan itself, the only state in India with the rate of growth of school enrollment in public schools was higher than the rate of growth of enrollment in private schools. But that is an indication of the kind of infrastructural change that took place. There is concentration now on quality. In the case of higher education, the budgetary investment increased in a single year when the rest of the budget did not, by 30%. And this also, the kind of new emphasis on higher education is being seen in rankings, etc., but also in a new enthusiasm about higher education in the state. The in the case of health, primary health facilities have been, and again, I invite you to see some of our primary health centers, which are now called family health centers. And the development of public hospitals and curative medicine has also been transformed. As the Chief Minister said, human development gains have been widened and deepened, but they have also been used as a springboard for economic growth. And change in the primary sectors, agriculture, forests, and related sectors, and in industry, infrastructure, and the modern services, including information technology and tourism, has been unprecedented. Kerala was not, in 2016, it was not known as a place to which industry came. It was today we have consistently been ranked among the states. We have the highest rate of growth of MSMEs, and a whole new influx of investment has come in different sectors, in the private sector, in the joint sector, and in the cooperative sectors. There has been new investment in industry that is unprecedented. If you take information technology, as the Chief Minister said, in 2016, it was said that Kerala had missed the IT bus. Today, we're very much on that bus. The startup economy in Kerala is probably the leading startup. Kerala is probably the leading startup economy in the country today. The tourism after COVID has been described as being like on life support. Today it is boom. I mean, it's changed. That situation has changed completely. Kerala is becoming a magnet with all its particularly in the sphere of responsible tourism for not only India but for the rest of the world. The share of budgetary funds designated exclusively for people of the scheduled castes and tribes has consistently exceeded the share of the people of scheduled castes and tribes in the population. Another big change has been state support to the elderly and to people with disabilities. Indeed, and of course, our traditional concern with gender. Indeed, now the gender budget and since last year, the elders' budget have become an important part of the entire budgetary process in Kerala. It's a very important part of our budgetary process now. The policy on housing for the poor again, may I invite our guests who have not seen those houses, come and see some of the houses that have been the homes that have been constructed under the Life Mission. They are modern, safe, comfortable houses, sanitary, built for the poor. And we have the state of Kerala has set in that field new standards. I would really invite you to see these facilities. The state funding, as many of you know, on cultural festivals, on the International Film Festival of Kerala, on the Biennale, on our theatre festival, on our dance festivals, on the short film festival, on the theatre festival in Thrissur, and so on. The state funding of these festivals and public expenditure on artists and public access to new cultural facilities has increased substantially. Decentralized planning and governance continue to be of central importance, with a steady increase in the devolution of funds and a widening and deepening of the development activity undertaken by local governments, which have also committed themselves to this process of using our human development advantages for growth and further development. The state has also, through an innovative new institution, that is the Kerala Infrastructure Investment Finance Board, that is the KIFBI, has what we call KIFBI in Kerala. Since 2016, it has granted administrative approval for 1,200 new projects in the state, with a total value of 87,000 crores. This has also been, I mean, it brings the kind of change that it has brought is visual. It's apparent to the eye of those people who live in the state. These changes have been reflected in Kerala's performance in national level indices, the Sustainable Development Goals Index, the ambassador mentioned the National Multidimensional Poverty Index, and sectoral indices and rankings in education, health, and industry, just to name a few. In the very first press conference held after the swearing in of this government, the Chief Minister announced that Kerala would committed itself to an end to absolute poverty in the state. And indeed, on November 1st, 2025, which is the foundation day, the formation day of the state of Kerala, in 2025, the government of Kerala fulfilled a historic promise to the people by putting an end to absolute poverty in the state. Our capacity, the state's capacity to finance development, is constrained by a structurally imbalanced federal fiscal architecture, in which revenue-raising powers are increasingly concentrated at the union level, while states continue to bear the primary responsibility for development expenditure. I won't go into that in any detail, but to say that taken together, the setbacks have weakened the principles of cooperative federalism, reduced fiscal predictability, and narrowed the space available to states such as Kerala to sustain public investment alongside their social and developmental commitments. Despite this, the state soldiers on. I mean, despite this, these development achievements have occurred. As we have been saying, 2031 will mark the 75th anniversary of the establishment of the state. This vision is a wide-ranging effort to consolidate and evaluate the gains of social and economic development in the state, and to formulate new policies and create new perspectives for the future. In 2025, the government announced the Vision 2031 effort. The departments of the state government organized 34 seminars in 14 districts of the state to discuss the recent development achievements of the state and perspectives for this modern progressive future. A report on each of these seminars has been published, and they're available. It has been made available to all of you. This conference marks the culmination of this process. It will bring together about 3,500 delegates, over 150 speakers in 20 multi-sectoral conference sessions across 9 venues today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. You see, this was mentioned, and Professor Sen's regular references to democracy as government by discussion, referring to John Stuart Mill's formulation that democracy is government by discussion. It's in a capitalist-dominated world, it is difficult to achieve that anywhere. To fully achieve this idea of a government by discussion, a democratic government that is indeed a deeply rooted government by discussion. But in my experience, to the extent that does exist anywhere, it exists in the state of Kerala. I can say with some confidence that the way in which an educated, politically conscious, and socially sensitive population participates in discussion on development in this state, I think has very little parallel anywhere else in the world. So it's an important part of the tradition in this state, and it is something which we value, and I believe that is being taken forward by this conference and this effort. The formulation of public policy is, as I mentioned, an exercise in people's participation. And in Kerala, it involves the widest possible consultations with experts and all sections of the people before public policy is finalized. The Vision 2031 effort is a continuation of that process and of that tradition, of that long heritage of public discussion that has been initiated in the state, that is part of the history of this state. I welcome all of you again, and I hope you have an excellent conference. We look forward to learning. We look forward to learning from you. This is really an exercise to learn from the best experiences of the state, of India, and the world, to put this state and, as Professor Sen said, to set an example to others on how a democratic and a progressive transformation should occur. Kerala's another, I should have said, sort of a very important aspect of change in Kerala, and again, which has appeared in the very first press conference that the Chief Minister gave after the government was sworn in, is that we want rapid growth, we want a social transformation, but it must be done in a way that not a single person is left behind. That credo of inclusivity is as important to us as the imperative of growth and development. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I invite the Principal Secretary, Planning and Economic Affairs Department, and Member Secretary, Kerala State Planning Board, Dr. Sharmila Mary Joseph, IAS, to propose the vote of thanks. Ma'am.
Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, President of this address of this conference, Sri G.R. Anil, Honorable Minister for Food and Civil Supplies, Honorable Ministers on the dais, respected dignitaries on the dais, and delegates and other participants. Kerala's Vision 2031 conclave has just got off to an intellectual start. This forum, I'm sure, will be a feast for the intellect, a forum where academicians meet policymakers, where researchers confront practitioners, and where experts listen to activists as we unravel the Kerala story, the development trajectory of our state across various sectors, and present the blueprint of Kerala for 2031. Kerala has demonstrated to the world how investments in social sectors reap rich dividends in human development. What better narrative do we need to portray the robustness of our health sector than our infant mortality rate, which is just 5 and which is less than that of the United States? What greater approval do we need for our extreme poverty-free status than the endorsement by Economist magazine, which has stated that with regard to multidimensional poverty index, Kerala is to Indian indices what Scandinavia is to the world. What further applause do we need for the local government-led planning and the Kudumbashree networking model for extreme poverty eradication than the recognition of the same in the Economic Survey 25-26 of the Government of India? What stronger certificate do we need to project the investment supportive environment of our state than our ranking as a top achiever in the latest ease of doing business ranking of states by the Government of India? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Kerala is poised for a giant leap forward, for transformation as a knowledge economy, for more targeted interventions, for digitally driven governance and service delivery, for sustainable development of its fragile ecosystem. All of these while placing infrastructure development at the heart of its growth story. We are indeed grateful to our Honorable Chief Minister for his unwavering commitment to people-centric, equitable, and inclusive governance, and for laying out a clear roadmap for accelerated infrastructure growth of the state. Sir, this conclave will help us collectively imagine Kerala at 2031 and jointly lay down the contours of the development roadmap of our state at 75. On behalf of all of us here and on behalf of the State Planning Board, I extend our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for having inaugurated this conclave and for your leadership role in the development trajectory of our state. I extend my gratitude to Sri G.R. Anil, Honorable Minister for Food and Civil Supplies, for having chaired this session, and to all the respected ministers who have graced this session. It is indeed my proud privilege to thank Bharat Ratna Nobel laureate Professor Amartya Sen, who, despite his age and frail health, had spoken to us and had sent his recorded speech. Professor Sen, in his speech, highlighted the astonishing economic and social developments of our state that we could achieve by empowering human capabilities. Thank you very much, Professor Sen. I also take this opportunity to thank Professor Romila Thapar, who joined us online, Dr. Shakuntala Thilsted, World Food Prize Laureate, His Excellency Abdullah M. Abu Shosum, Ambassador of the State of Palestine to the Republic of India, Ms. Amy Alejandra Diaz-Negrin, Member of the Provincial Government of Havana, Republic of Cuba, and Mr. Shankar Aiyar, for having shared their thoughts, their perspectives, and their ideas on making use of human development to catalyze economic expansion with democratic vitality at the center stage. I would be failing in my duty if I do not thank Professor V.K. Ramachandran, Vice Chairman of the Kerala State Planning Board, who had meticulously planned this intellectual exercise, and our respected Chief Secretary, Dr. Jaitilak, for his valuable insights and guidance. May I also offer a big bouquet of thanks to all the members of the State Planning Board, OSD Arun Nair, Planning Board chiefs, officers, and staff of Planning Board, whose efforts have ensured successful organization of this intellectual discourse.
Let me also thank all the additional chief secretaries, principal secretaries, senior officers of government, and all staff, all my colleagues from government, whose inputs have been consolidated into the discussion notes and the concept notes. I also thank in advance all the invited speakers, panelists, and experts who would be enlightening us with their suggestions for fostering stronger convergence of social development with economic growth in the thematic sessions scheduled tomorrow and the day after. My thanks are also due to the State Police, the PRD, media, IT Mission, CDIT, and all the support agencies for all the valuable assistance rendered for the organization of this program. Once more, my heartfelt gratitude to all the delegates, participants, and everyone present here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That brings us to the end of this session. We hope to see you all of you, at the 18 technical sessions scheduled at 9 venues for tomorrow and the valedictory session scheduled for the day after. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.